Last Man here, and we are on episode 3 of the Glasscast. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I'm not even really sure which direction we're gonna head today with the topic of conversation. There's so many different things going on in this world, and one thing that I'm understanding is that a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in this world, it's a complete distraction. It's meant to distract us from something that's more important that's going on, and there's just so much happening that it's like it's getting ridiculous and out of hand with all the different you have so many different events going on, a lot of train derailments and these chemical spills and factories exploding and food processing plants catching fire and all these floods and tornadoes and hurricanes and uh, the blizzards in California and the water being completely depleted from Lake Mead and Lake Powell, and then having this historic floods and snowpack that melts, and still the lakes are still low and haven't been completely filled or overfilling or anything like that. So it's really interesting. So, to me, it's just a whole bunch of distractions. Keep you distracted from the things that are really going on, and also to basically keep the crowds all where they want them to be, so they're not like, it's the whole sleight of hand trick. Pay attention to what's going on over here while you're not really watching what's going on over here. And so, all these sleight of hand tricks and everything, it's getting quite out of hand. So much stuff is going on. They got the whole the Trump indictment, and I guess they got President Trump as a distraction as well right now, and just so many things are going on. So I kind of want to get into. I want to look at what's happening here. We'll bring up the live screen, so that way I can talk back and forth with any of y'all who are watching, paying attention, and we can get started here. So recently I've been working on the earth drops. So the earth drops are just the continents on a blue water drop, and those are headed up to Canada. We have quite a few of them here on the table. Just going to keep on working on these for Earth Day coming up. Now, Earth Day is a huge thing that, that's something that maybe we should be focused on and actually paying attention to, is what the different types of things that we can do in our own homes, in our own, for our own bodies, our own health, things like that. So that way we can really, we can do what we can on a personal level to reduce our own carbon footprint and things like that. Earth Day is coming up. It's a good day to celebrate the Earth and to also honor the Earth, to make sure that you're doing what you can to be basically a guardian, a steward of this vessel, of this planet Earth. And doing all you can to really help out with sustaining life. Helping other life sustain itself here on this planet while you're here as well. That's one of the best things that we can do as far as devotional service, and giving ourselves up in order to, that's like the best sacrifice, is to give yourself to others, or, to certain things, like helping to clean up the planet. So with Earth Day coming up, that's going to be a really huge celebration. We're sending a bunch of these earth drops. So a bunch of these earth drops are going to be headed up to Canada here soon, Niagara Falls, Canada, and they'll be Oh, I got a cat trying to sneak in over here. Get out. Come on. Come on. Sorry about that. So we got cats, and that cat's trying to sneak in. It's like, dude, I got this place booby trap. Just kidding. So, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Let me,
They'll be,
the cat's all sneaking in. So we got the video set up here so I can flip you guys around and you can actually see what's going on here. So as you can see, we got the one video of, we got this one, the Glasscast episode 2. So this is our last episode that we were watching. But what I'd like to do is just go in here and find out what current events, news, things like that are coming up today. So one thing that been pretty prominent in the media these days is the individual. I'm really not sure this individual's name. I believe it's Dylan Mulvaney or McLaney or something like that. She, this transgender individual is being featured on the Bud Light cans. And that seems to be causing a lot of issues recently. And the thing that I'm finding that's really interesting about this all is for the last several years, we haven't been able to talk against the narrative that they've been pushing. You know, if we say anything about, there shouldn't be a male swimmer in an all women swim team, that they shouldn't even be in there in the competition. The whole transgender thing, that's one thing. If you wanna identify as something else, then that's fine. But you can't you can't realistically then think that you're gonna be included just automatically in everything and all things that have to do with females. There's some of us who are fathers and we have daughters, and there's no way that I want to have any males who are dressed up as females going into the bathroom while my daughter is also in there. I don't want to have any kind of situation like that my child has to then deal with, right? And so I find it quite interesting that now the narrative is turning around and people are finally able to talk about this. And I personally, I feel that I can talk about this all I want. My oldest child was born biological female, went through life completely female, very feminine, wearing dresses, putting the hair up and the braids and the ribbons and brushing hair every day and looking really pretty. And at one point, my child ended up going to live with my ex, with the mother. And so in that experience, our child ended up changing and going into some kind of in a defensive mode, and basically started to stand up for a lot of the individuals who are getting picked on and getting bullied at school. And so our child ended up becoming a defender against bullies at school and ended up getting in trouble and these different things. So in that time, I believe that my child ended up becoming extremely masculine in a very protective way. And in that manner, something developed within our child, which then our child ended up wanting to first change names and started identifying as a different individual, but still feminine, still female. And eventually, my child came out and said that that she, or at that point became he, that he feels more male than female and has always felt that way throughout life. And we were like, all right, well, you've always been a little bit more rougher around the edges. That's fine. You've always been more of a tomboy than anything. Although in the younger ages, our child was extremely feminine, and it wasn't until middle school that's when that masculine, and in that time, that's when the hormones come out, the puberty kicks in, and bodies start to change, and so our child ended up becoming more masculine, and then moved out of my home. Um, our child was living pretty much prominently with me. The mother had a lot of issues, and may she rest in peace. She ended up succumbing to those issues a few years ago. And so, our child grew up without a mother, really, and didn't have a lot of that feminine qualities, except for any time that I was in a relationship and had those females in our child's life, in our daughter's life. But eventually, our daughter became transgender and started to identify as Damien instead of Kaya, and so it was quite hurtful to know that the name that came through Creator, through God, that was given to our child, was basically being desecrated or changed to the name Damien, which is usually associated with the opposite of God. And so it's a interesting thing that our child has done and changed his or her ways into this new way. But there seems to have been this narrative, this push that has been going on since, my child hasn't spoken to me for over 10 years now. And so, like I said, when our child came out and let us know that our child identified more as a transgender, as a male, identified more as male, we completely still accepted, my child, and there was, the love didn't change. There was no like, oh my gosh, how could you, or it was like, yeah, cool, whatever, so be it. Now, after that, something must have happened, because then my child ended up moving out, went to go live with the grandparents, and in that time, some new processes in life started happening. I believe our child started going to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. A few years before that, our child also ended up in a psych ward and had some mental issues and stuff like that. So, there's all these underlying issues that happened before Damien came out. And, it was at that point in life when my child was 17 going on 18 that Damien finally came out fully and decided to remove me entirely, just, disown me, which I didn't understand because I was in support and everything. Some other issues had come up. We lost our medical coverage when our another child was born, and we were getting state medical coverage, and they denied the coverage because of certain financial items I didn't have, W-2s and things like that. Working for myself, I didn't have the proper paperwork to provide in order to keep our medical coverage going. So we lost the medical coverage, and that created issues because our child was, and still is, diabetic, and we then had to figure out how to get the insulin and all the test strips and the syringes and everything that we needed to, allow our child to continue on. And so, I think there was some animosity that came my way at that point, which that's when my child decided to disown me, and basically Damien Kaya became non-existent, and Damien decided to have nothing to do with me. And which, if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. And if my child comes out, the horrible part about it was my child never came and spoke to me about any of this. I found out about this through a video. My child is extremely talented, and at the time, at 16, 17 years old, I was dropping my child off at a after school program at a place called Warehouse 508, and they were learning how to do video making, editing, and all this stuff. How to direct films, how to produce films, movies, things like that. So I'm dropping my child off to make these movies, these videos, right? And then after my child leaves, right, then I get a link sent to me about how in a video, my child makes a video on YouTube, growing up a transgender child or something like that. And in the video, then says how I was extremely verbally abusive and wasn't there and all these things. I didn't do certain things or whatever, which, every child is always going to say that their parents didn't do certain things for them or whatever. You know how kids are with their parents. You know how you were with your parents. I know how I was with my parents. I was extremely rude to my parents. So, I figured, okay, this is, as a parent, this is our karma coming back to us, right? Our children then dish back what we dish to our parents, right? So, bam, my child doesn't want me in his or her life. So be it. All I can do is love you from afar, and to basically to give you what you wish for. If you wish me not to be in your life anymore through this video without even speaking to me, then I give you what you wish. If that's that's what we're supposed to do as parents, is give our children the things that they really truly wish and desire from us, but also give them the things that we know are going to help them in life. Now, if this is a lesson in life, then so be it. If this is a lesson my child's trying to teach me, well, so be it. It is what it is. But it's quite interesting that in this time, my child started speaking to a psychiatrist, and then it went from, we had Thanksgiving dinner together with the family, with the grandparents, to then by Christmas time, a few weeks later, there was no invite and don't want to speak to you ever again. And whoa, what happened? Like, I thought everything was cool at Thanksgiving. Now all of a sudden things have changed. So something happened in the psychiatric, in that session, in the, psychiatry session that my child went to. This psychiatrist was basically telling my child to not have a relationship with both parents, to basically disown the mother, disown the father, which I could understand the mother, having issues with substance abuse and stuff and not being there in our child's life basically since the beginning. And I basically raised our child as a single father, but I was in relationships, so I wasn't always single, but I did have other females in our life that helped to inspire and, just to be there and help support our daughter growing up, who then became Damien, who became identified as male. So, it was pretty harsh to hear that video come out like that and my child not speaking in any way to me, and then all of a sudden now just disowned, and then no longer having any communication. All of us, we pretty much have Facebook Messenger, so we can be in touch with our family, with our friends and individuals. And at that time, my child had Facebook, and we were able to be in communication, and then I get blocked off. I no longer am able to call because my child won't take the call. I could try to send letters, but what's that going to do? Maybe it's just going to upset or piss off my child even more, because the more that I try to be involved in my child's life and try to plead how, I would love to have you back. You're always welcome. I still love you, even throughout all of this for the last 10 years. And, to have someone just being like, whatever. This is like, wow, okay. I was your protector for your whole entire life. I was always there for you. Always the one that you can count on and rely on. But as soon as your grandparents come and move over here with all of their money, which is another thing, we don't always have a lot of money, right? The money comes and the money goes. When I make a lot of orders for in glass and they get shipped out and they get paid, sometimes we get a big chunk of cash, and then sometimes we don't have anything, right? So, maybe that fluctuation wasn't a stable environment or something like that, but we always were able to get by, and never once were we ever homeless or anything like that. It wasn't until later on in years that I became homeless and just decided to move into the ashram and go find a spiritual path and something different. But that's a whole different topic. So, to me, it just seems like there's a lot of psychiatrists out there who are speaking to these children. That was an adolescent youth at the time. It was 17, going on 18, still with the adolescent mind, and influencing my child to basically cut ties with the mother and the father. But then it didn't stop there, because then my child ended up starting to cut off ties with my sisters, the aunties, my brother, the only brother that I have, the uncle, cousins. Then eventually, at the time that our child moved out at like 17 years old, I had another baby with another female who, she's actually now 10 years old or 11. Oh my gosh. Is she 11 already? Wow, time flies. And so, my child never got to know my other child. Moved out and then basically disowned the baby as well. Has never, ever reached out. So what's going on with these psychiatrists and these psychologists getting into the minds of these transgender individuals and promoting this new narrative? And so recently, with this whole thing of Dylan Mulvaney or McVaney or whoever the Bud Light spokesperson is now, that has ruined the stocks for Bud Light. There isn't enough transgender individuals on this planet that drink enough Bud Light to keep promotions and marketing going the way that this individual came in to change marketing and direction of Bud Light promotions. Completely ruined the stocks, and people are probably getting out of stocks and buying Coors Light now or other things. I don't drink beer anymore, so to me it doesn't matter, And for us, we would drink the other crappy beer, like either Busch Light or PBR. And I always thought it was weird. We'd always go out, and we would drink really good dank beers that were like $5, But then when we'd have house parties, we'd buy these crappy 30 packs. I was like, wait, shouldn't we be doing it the other way? So, I find it interesting now that there's a lot of individuals, transgender individuals, they got these books, they got this community now, and a lot of people who are pushing and promoting this lifestyle. They have these books out, and it's promoting and propagating the whole leave your parents behind. There is no more honor thy mother and thy father. These individuals don't even believe in God. They don't go to church. They don't have any true direction on a spiritual path or spiritual nature. They are so stuck in the material world on what it is that they feel that they are more that or that they're not, when they're just not able to look at their biological form and realize, hey, in biology, gold is gold, and you can't like have, oh no, this is silver, but I'm gonna call it gold. Like, no, in biology, it is what it is. If you want to be dressed or associated in a whole nother way and pretend to be something that you aren't biologically, then that's fine. Everyone is allowed to do that. If you want to make Halloween every day, 365 days out of the year, and play dress up, go for it. People play, they're cosplayers, right? They go out and they dress up in these individual anime characters or different cartoon characters, or, the female is always wearing the real provocative, very revealing types of outfits, to make them feel more empowered, because there's something about that. Sexualizing the body empowers the females, and there's something about this whole transgenderism that's getting mixed in there as well. And I don't know, it's just it's very interesting that now, after many years, even myself, I've had to be like, even though I have a child who's transgender, I've had to basically be like, yeah, my child can do whatever's, but the real issues is the whole disowning not only me, not only the mother, but then disowning my other daughter, right, who was there as a baby, born as Kaya became Damien, and decided, yo, I'm disowning you. Like, okay, so you're disowning your sister too? Like, whether you're a brother or a sister, this is your sister over here that you have disowned, that you haven't had any communication with, that you've never even tried to reach out to. Like, how dare you? And then individuals like your auntie, my sister is always helping you with finances, with money, right? Sending you funds for this or that, or my own father helping you with your phone bill, making sure that your phone was always covered, as he was paying for 2 lines on his bill, making sure that you always had a line open to be in connection with the family and with everyone. And then you disown my father as well, your grandfather. Like, so what's going on? The psychiatrists, these psychologists are getting into the minds of these transgender individuals, and they're promoting this whole bite the hand that feeds, cut them out. Why? Why would you want to cut your whole entire family out and then be on your own? Like, yeah, of course, you're in a relationship right now. You may have their family there, and so maybe that's what it is, right? You got your grandparents, who we'll see how much longer your grandparents will be around. They're getting up there in age. I'm sure they also got the jibby jab. I know my child also did, which is, oh, wow. That's a whole nother thing. My child tried to call me out as being one who theorizes on conspirers and, certain situations. They just, they are what they are. And so my child grew up knowing that I did a lot of research, studying this information and different things. And now my child is completely brainwashed, thinking that all this stuff that I've been looking into is nonsense, completely idiocracy, doesn't exist, that I'm just making these things up, even though my child's the one playing imagination pretend. It's very interesting. So the narrative is getting pushed to the point now where people are starting to speak up. You've got hockey teams, hockey players who are saying, no, I'm not going to wear your rainbow jerseys. We're not doing Pride Night anymore. We're not going to honor you anymore. We have states, legislative sessions, who are now denouncing this and saying you can't. You just can't. You've taken it too far. We've given you an inch, and you've taken it like 10 miles, and this is way ridiculous now, and how you've completely encroached upon female sports, women's sports, the women's athletics, the the freedoms that have been fought for through true feminism, and being able to fight for true female rights, and liberating females since way long ago. And during the whole times of even, with during Martin Luther King and Miss Parks, Rosa Parks, and all the different females that stood up for these rights in order to be able to have like a WNBA. There was never the WNBA, and because of women's rights and because of these individuals who stood up to fight for this, I'm always going to say equality, because equality is an illusion. There is no such thing as equality. My hair may always be longer than yours, right? My hair might always be straighter than yours. Your hair might always be shorter than mine. Someone's hair might be longer than mine, actually, and more straighter, right? There is no real true equality. Equality is an illusion. It's like reaching for the Easter Bunny. trying to make that real and existent. So I just find it interesting now that this narrative is reversing, and now there's this backlash against these individuals. So now, it's been where I've had to sit back and just not say much about anything about my own child being a transgender, to where now I'm still, I'm not going to ever try to fight my child about what my child chooses to be. If my child wants to be a toaster oven, so be it. Put some bread in there, make some toast. Right? You want to be a kitty cat? Cool. I'll get you a litter box, and we'll make sure you get some really nice flaked food in a can that the kitties get. We'll get you the highest quality brand. We'll make sure you still eat well. Get you a good dish. And we'll make sure we wash it every day and keep it nice and clean so it's not full of dust and dirt and debris as you're scurrying through the house, running left and right because you're a kitty cat, Like, whatever you want to identify as, just know that if you're a kitty cat, you can no longer go to school. Cats don't enroll in school. So teachers should not be forced to be to be accepting that there's a cat in their room, and only get answers of meow. It's like, no, if you're a cat, out. You need to get out the building. Animals aren't allowed unless you are a trained, assisted pet. You're helping because you have a disability, a disorder, you're blind, you're deaf, you can barely walk, you have multiple sclerosis, something like that, If you are a trained animal, then you are allowed on the buses or in the rooms, in the classrooms. But most individuals who are disabled or in that way usually aren't going to school then, right? And they don't need a disabled or an assistant pet, right? So there's no reason why pets are in school, because most of those individuals would probably homeschool anyways. They wouldn't be putting themselves into that kind of situation at that point, because the medical situation is so serious that it doesn't make sense. So there should be no cats, no individuals who are pretending to be cats, right? None whatsoever. There should be no dogs in the schools, right? Nothing in the buildings, nothing on the buses. No, you can't. You may have to actually get put in a kennel when your parents go away. That way they make sure you're not chewing cables or cords. They don't want you to electrocute yourself, or making sure you're not biting into food packages or things like that. They might lock you in the bathroom or the closet because you want to identify as a pet. So you can't, call for child abuse or child endangerment and call child protective services, because at that point you're a cat, you're a pet, you know. So, like, how far do these individuals really want to carry this and take this, right? So, and then there's this other narrative that's coming out where there's a lot of transgenders who are actually reverting back and saying how they were kind of coerced and pushed into this way. Yeah, and that's the way I feel about my own child, is that there was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, who was speaking to our child at a young age, at 17, going on 18, and then throughout the last 10 years or so, has been speaking to our child and training our child to disown the entire family, not just me, not just the mother, but everyone, like the whole, like including the mother's mom on that side of the family, the grandmother, completely disowned. And I think there's something a little bit more that's going on because of the whole fact that my child had that psychotic episode, had to go into a psychiatric ward at the age of 15 or 16 years old, and was going through some issues at that time. And I believe that my child, has mental issues. That's about it. There were times when my child felt there were spirits and demons and different things that was coming in and grabbing a hold of the feet in the middle of the night and things like that, where we basically had to bless the whole entire place and smudge and sage it and force any evil spirits and demons out. And so there's a lot more to it than just, oh, my child just decided to become a male. No, there's a lot more entailed. And a lot of these individuals, I am very sure that they also have gone through some sort of situations like this, and some mental kind of collapse or a mental crisis, where they've also needed some kind of help. But these psychiatrists and psychologists who are then promoting the whole disconnecting from the family, when they don't even know, they're taking a one-sided story from the individual that they are doing a psyche eval with, and they're taking this story of that individual instead of coming and talking to the family and being like, hey, there's some situation, but you got HIPAA, you got the whole patient physician consent or non-disclosure, all these things. So, what good is it going to do if you're just going to bring up problems and issues and then just tell the person to just run away from those problems and issues, instead of just figuring out what it is that wasn't right, or that the parents did wrong, or we could have done better, or let's just break up the whole family and just and then let's also teach this individual transgender child to just put the blame on them, and no blame, no self, they don't have any sort of I can't think of the word right now, but they're not they have no part of the blame to it whatsoever. They have it's nothing that has to do with them. It's everyone else. It's everyone else for not accepting them, except we accepted our child. So that's the weird thing. There was total acceptance, and still my child was told to disown us. So I don't know. It's been a very interesting dynamic that we've been going through in the last few years. And so, yeah. So Dylan Mulvaney, that's what it is. So yeah, this is a video right here of Dylan Mulvaney, and apparently Dylan has completely destroyed Uh, Bud Light loses its fizz as Dylan Mulvaney destroyed woke Budweiser and Kid Rock boycott. So there you go. So they completely destroyed and damaged the whole situation there. And I just find it interesting that yeah, the narrative has completely changed, guys, and we're now able to talk about it in a different way, in a different matter of perspective. And I find that quite interesting. It's role reversal or whatever it is. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's quite interesting how this is working here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we can talk about. Okay, Amanda Bynes, there's some stuff going on with her mental hospital issues. So there's another mental issue going on right there, right? Okay, something going on with the Louisville shooting. Multiple casualties reported. This is live. So that's happening right now. More distractions and things going on. More events happening. Criticize Trump charges, right? Because there's no cases going on with Hunter or anything. So yeah, it's quite interesting on just the narrative and things that are going on these days. I guess I should probably make some glass. And also, I didn't want to keep this glasscast very long. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but apparently we decided to talk about the whole transgender issues, and also with individuals who are reverting back. And not to joke or anything, but for me, I consider that being a transformer. So there's going to be a lot of transformers who are going to be coming out and basically coming back, and being like, I made a huge mistake. I don't know what I was thinking, and now I've disrupted my whole entire hormones. My body is no longer the way it was supposed to be. I destroyed my biological body and algorithms and offset all the chemicals to where now I have this complete chemical imbalance. And now, if I've done any sort of augmentation to my body, I now have to live with that, whether I've removed things or added things or anything like that. So there's now going to be this a fallout of individuals who are going to convert back, and then they're going to have a lot of mental issues with that. I don't know if you guys are understanding or what that's going to entail, but people are they're going to go through a really harsh state of depression, knowing that they got coerced or talked into changing. Because there's individuals now who say, oh, well, you can try out being a man and do hormone therapy for a while and take testosterone and stuff for a few years, and if you don't like it, you can always get off of the testosterone and all. And it's like, no, at that point you've already created so much damage to the physical body, and so much of this chemical reaction and offset a chemical imbalance that there's no way to go back at that point. So I don't really know where we're gonna go moving forward with all of this now. There's gonna be a huge backlash towards transgenderism. And I think what has happened is that a lot of the males have decided that they were going to basically infiltrate this movement in such a way, in such a manner, that it's just like, it's so completely ridiculous and asinine. Like the individual, the I don't know if it was a teacher or a person on the school board or whoever this individual male was, who was coming out with size ZZZ implants, the prosthetics that they were wearing, to where it was like hanging down to their knees, it's just completely ridiculous. And apparently this individual was just playing the part. being an actor. And that's what we're finding out also, is that Mulvaney, whatever this individual's name is, that this individual is also just simply playing the part. That they're not true to what they're claiming they are. That they're just actors. You know, just like all the other crisis actors, like I've always talked about, you know, being on the movie sets and working with different individuals who are actors, you know, myself included. I work as a background actor, as a background extra. Sometimes I get roles as a featured extra. I've never had any lines, but I've worked on film and worked side by side with many actors and worked for many different directors and producers and casting directors. And so, yeah, you know, to be able to recognize acting in actors, you know, it is what it is. When you are an actor, you can recognize some of these things, and when you know how Hollywood works and Hollywood magic, and how, you know, they can make it look like we landed on the moon, right? They're doing all these changes in history right now with the Mandela effect, and how, you know, so many things that we've remembered as one way, they're now changing it and altering our reality, because reality is an illusion as well. Right? Equality is an illusion. Reality is an illusion. We got all these illusions going on, and they're completely redesigning our history. They're going to remove a lot of books. They already are reprinting books because of certain, like, what's the whole I don't know, like the whole Dick and Jane books, you know, they're now going to have more, instead of having two male or two female of a name, they're going to have more of a gender neutral names or whatever, you know, instead of using the pronouns him or her, it's going to be them or they. You know, they're reprinting all these books right now. I don't know if you guys are really paying attention to all this and what's going on, but this is happening. It really is going on. I don't know what I'm going to make. I think I might just play a little bit while we're talking here. So I've been working on earth drops recently. And earth drops for Earth Day. Let me show you what those look like here. So I hand draw all the continents all the way around it entirely. So you can see in the front there, North America, South America. Going that way, you got, I think, I don't know which way we're going. Oh, that way, then there's like all of the England and Africa. Yeah, so a lot of different ones. I got a bunch of these just all made and ready to go. I don't know if I'm going to make one right now because I'm actually out of glue and I only have enough to make one. There's no point just starting and making one if I got to stop right away. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking to see, do I have any more? Nope. So hopefully we got that shipment coming in maybe today or tomorrow. So that'd be really cool if that shipment comes in here. And then we can work on more of these tomorrow. I'm just going to use up the rest of this here. So, but I don't know. What do you guys think about all this crazy stuff that's going on? Do you guys even drink Bud Light? I know when I was a drinker, I quit drinking like 7 years ago. And when I used to drink, I'm sure I drank Bud Light. We drank just to get drunk. If it got us drunk, cool. But you had to drink a lot of Bud Light, just like Coors Light or Busch Light or PBR, any of those really light beers. Eventually, I just got into, drinking more of the darker beers. I'd be more into like the craft beers and the locally brewed, all the, like the stouts and the IPAs and I used to love the oatmeal stout. That was one of my favorites. But yeah, like there's a lot of individuals who do drink Bud Light. Like I said, we used to get them 30 packs all the time and just drink them down, just for fun. Bunch of musicians hanging out, playing music together. Or maybe we throw some sort of small event, festival. And we need to have plenty of beer to go around, right? Unless we got the keg. But then even still, a keg of Bud Light's a lot cheaper than a keg of like Fat Tire or Rolling Rock or some sort of local beer like Santa Fe Brewing Company or something like that. That used to be the beer that I would drink, is a Santa Fe local beer here from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Santa Fe Brewing Company with the Zia caps. They're known for their yellow caps with the Zia, the red Zia on them. Which, the Zia Pueblo, actually they own that Zia symbol or belong to their tribe. But then New Mexico, we kind of hijacked it for our state flag. So the Zia Pueblo has been completely forgotten about, that it even matters, that it's their symbol. But that's what it is, right? We live in a capitalist society, and someone decided to trademark it before the Zia Pueblo did. I think that's what happened. All right, so I don't know. It's really interesting on all the stuff that's going on right now. The different sports that are banning and boycotting against, like wearing pride shirts and jerseys and not doing Pride Night anymore. Especially the hockey teams. They've come out, but there's other individuals I've heard too that are like, nope, not going to do it. We're not going to give in anymore. This is ridiculous. So, because the media narrative has changed, the media narrative is now being able to speak in a way that it almost bashes the transgender community. And it's going to be interesting because this is going to turn into some sort of them against us mentality, and dividing. Once again, divide and conquer, right? Divide and conquer. All these individuals used to be friends, and now they're all enemies, right? Just continue to divide and conquer and distract them with all these events and distract them with beer cans of individual faces on there that they can just all argue about. I don't even drink, I'm over here talking about it, right? That's how big of a distraction this has become. Now it's up for conversation for anyone and everyone. And it's interesting how this is working out. So I think right now what I'm going to make is just something for fun, being that it was Easter yesterday. I'm just going to make this little miniature glass egg. We had a screensaver up yesterday, and there were some really cool eggs on there. And I was asking my daughter which egg she really liked on it. So I'm going to try to replicate. Let's see if we can. Well, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the Glasscast. This is the 3rd episode, and it's kind of just random right now. I don't really create a script or have any sort of direction in conversation. Just going right off the top of my head on what I feel is fresh. And I guess, I was just watching a video about what was going on with this Mulvaney individual and the Bud Light cans, and you're seeing people who got cases and cases of Bud Light stocked in their garage or their workshops. These individual gentlemen who, they just always got beer on hand. They got they got their what do they call them? The man den, the man cave, and they got a refrigerator in there and stocked with Bud Light, right? And these individuals are just taking their cases and walking them right outside to the trash can and just dumping them. And then they're saying, bam, that's where that belongs. It's like, wow. They're just throwing away money right there because they don't want to support this. They find it ridiculous and asinine. And there was one individual who had a whole case of Bud Light, swapped it out with a whole case of Coors Light. He's all out with the old, in with the new. It's like, oh man, you guys really messed up, Bud Light and Heiser. Y'all done messed up. But whatever. That's y'all's deal now. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to worry. I don't got to worry if my friends have Bud Light or Coors Light or Busch Light or PBR or any other kind of beer. I don't drink, so I don't have to worry about any of this. And I'm also not looking for a transgender relationship, and could care less what this Mulvaney individual has to say. The topic of conversation isn't anything of what I find important, unless this individual is going to start talking about environmental issues or talking about the spiritual path or talking about how we can be better individuals as on a whole planetary scale, how we can step into our purpose and why we're here. If it has nothing to do with any of that, then I don't really care. All right, there's a individual who's got his face on a can of beer. Great. What do we do with those cans of beer after we're done with them? We simply just crush them, smash them with our feet. So now you can enjoy your beer and then just stomp them, crush them with your foot. You don't have to waste your beer. At least put it in. Use it for something. But I don't know. I find it quite interesting what's going on these days. Alright, so I just fumed that to give it a very metallic look. Because that was the one that she was like, ooh, I really like that one. It was a metallic-y one. Now, hopefully, we can do this and not put too much of punty marks and stuff on here. We'll do real light, real soft flame. Clean up the punty mark, make sure we don't put any weird marks on here. This is just for fun, since I put it in the title, Glassblowing and Current Events. We might as well bring in some glass blowing. So what's also interesting is I'm making this egg right now. We did not color any eggs last night with our children. Boiled them. They're in the fridge, ready to go. But we didn't. We're like, what happened? I might have to hit it again on this side. Looks like I just wiped off that chromish fuming there. I'm just trying to pull it and taper it to give it that egg shape. So next week, maybe what I'll do is I'll have something, more of a scheduled topic instead of just some random conversation here. And, maybe I'll follow what's going on during the week so we can really talk about all the different issues and situations that have been happening in this world. So how you guys doing? How's your day going?